Hi guys, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about no roots, no problem. If you don't know your SIBO root cause, there's still a lot you can do. And no, it does not mean that you're doomed to have SIBO forever. Stay tuned to learn why that is in this video. Okay, now that I started us off by saying you're not doomed to have SIBO forever, you can get rid of this, you can feel normal again. Let's backpedal for like 30 seconds and talk about why this conversation actually matters. Right? Like, why am I making a whole series about SIBO root causes? Why are we having this conversation today? Well, first off, I find that people feel very doomed and alone. Emphasis, though, on the doomed thing if they don't know the root cause of their SIBO. That's something that's talked about a lot in this space. It's talked about a lot in my field, functional medicine. And while it has merit, it is not the whole enchilada. You can heal your body without knowing your root cause. And truthfully, none of us know all of our root causes. There are things going on behind the scenes in our lives and our physiology that we will never know about. But I think that knowing the root cause of your SIBO has two main appeals to it. Number one is that it allows you to change your behavior and your decisions moving forward so that you can theoretically prevent a relapse. Right? Like if you have SIBO now and tomorrow you cure it, you don't want to go and get food poisoning and get SIBO again a month from now or a year from now. Similarly, if you had a root cause, then you knew it was your root cause of taking a PPI drug, you don't want to cure your SIBO and then go right back out into the world and pick up a box of Nexium. That doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. So knowing your root cause, A, allows you to make better decisions moving forward with the information you have so that you don't have a relapse. But that doesn't necessarily help us in the here and now. I'm talking about relapses after you've already cured your SIBO. And presumably, if you're here watching this video, you have SIBO today, right now, and you want to get rid of it. So we're not even to that part of it yet. So let's focus on the here and now. There are so many options available to all of you, right? Like you could change your nutrition and there's 8 million diets you could choose from. You could start a new supplement, but there's 9 million supplements that you could choose from. There are different therapies, different modalities like acupuncture, hypnosis, therapy, aromatherapy, the list goes on. There's 8 gajillion different things that you could be doing. And knowing your root causes helps you narrow your focus. If you had, just for the sake of round numbers, if you had 100 options available to you without knowing your root cause, knowing your root cause or your root causes plural narrows that list of 100 down to, 10 or 20. It's not going to tell you this is the one thing that will cure you. It doesn't narrow the list down to 1, but it will narrow it down quite a bit so that you can start narrowing your focus and just focusing on the things that are most likely to bring you relief and long-term cure or remission. So that is appealing, but you can narrow your focus in other ways. You don't have to go from 100 down to 10 just by knowing your root cause. You can actually do that with other tools. And I would say too, like I combine both of these things in my clinical practice with private patients, as well as my students with FODMAP Freedom. It's not that we hyper-focus on the root cause, and it's not that we hyper-focus on what I do today on the whiteboard. I'll always marry the two of these in the work that I do. So I think that this is valuable even for people who know their root cause, to be honest. But I digress. Let's get really to the crux of the problem of why you're watching this video and why you have SIBO. SIBO, in my opinion, and it's getting to be the opinion of more people, but I've been saying for a while that SIBO is going to be characterized by two primary things: lack of motility or altered motility. You could say subpar, you could say shitty motility, whatever you want to say. Your motility needs work, and you have dysbiosis, specifically in the small bowel. There's dysbiosis or an imbalance between the good and the bad and the medium critters in your ecosystem in the small bowel. But if you're watching this video, I would bet you $10 that you have dysbiosis in your large bowel, aka colon as well. That's a topic for a different day. But let's just focus on the motility, particularly in your small bowel, needs work or needs to be increased. And you need to work on or change the dysbiosis that you have, the microbial ecosystem you have in the small bowel. Whether that means that you have too many bad guys, not enough good guys, or a combination of both, that's up for grabs. But these are the two main tenets of treating SIBO, in my opinion. motility and dysbiosis. And we can think of something like, for example, you could even make this argument with certain kinds of testing, right? You get a SIBO test. You see the gas type that you produce, your hydrogen sulfide producer, right? That theoretically allows you to target the gas production, target the microorganisms more effectively. Well, similarly, if you're choosing an intervention, let's just call it intervention X. Now, this could be a modality like therapy or acupuncture. It could be a supplement. It could be a dietary change. This is something that you're going to do to try to cure or eradicate your SIBO. There's going to be a mechanism of how that works, but ultimately we're trying to get over here. We're trying to get to the motility and the dysbiosis ultimately. And a lot of these tools that I see people using in the SIBO space, some of which have merit, mind you, will target maybe one or two things. So for example, if X is a prokinetic, it's probably going to work primarily on the nervous system, and then that is going to affect motility. Let's use a different example. If it's an antimicrobial, X is going to affect the microorganisms in your gut, and then that, should go without saying, is going to affect the dysbiosis that you have in the small bowel. Both of those can treat SIBO via different routes. Oftentimes it's helpful to combine two of them. But you'll notice that each of the tools that I mentioned is going to have like one or two arrows typically. And that may or may not be the entire picture for you because the whole body is connected, right? That's the whole shtick with functional medicine. Everything is connected to everything else when in doubt. But if you think about some of the foundational parts of health, and I'm going to say this is the part of the video you're going to want to skip because it's the boring stuff. It's the non-sexy stuff. It's the non-glamorous stuff. But this is the stuff that makes the best, most profound long-term change for people. Say instead of taking, supplement X over here, and hold on, let's erase actually so I don't clutter up the board and make it more confusing than it needs to be. Okay, let's say instead of taking that, now let's talk about sleep. Let's say that your sleep has stunk or it's been kind of for about 5 years. And you know that you should do the sleep hygiene thing. You know you could get those dorky orange goggles. You know you could try some herbs or some chamomile tea, or you could do yoga, or you could stop scrolling on your smartphone watching YouTube videos like this one. Does anyone feel called out, by the way? Are you watching this at like 11 p.m.? You could stop doing all of those things, but it feels so much more SIBO specific to get a new antimicrobial. It feels so much more SIBO specific to get a new prokinetic, or read a new research study on PubMed, or watch a YouTube video like this one. So a lot of us, myself included for many years, we kind of ignore the sleep thing or put it on the back burner at the very least. It's not super high on the radar. But if you think about a lot of the main systems of the body that we have the ability to impact, whether it be hormones, the nervous system, the immune system, your metabolism, your microorganisms, the structural integrity of your body, detoxification, sleep is foundational, and it seems non-specific because it will affect literally all of these. I can't draw enough arrows to convey this point. Sleep, or lack thereof, or poor quality thereof, affects all of these, including the microorganisms. There's something really cool called the microbial clock, not the circadian clock, the microbial clock. And it's basically that the microorganisms have their own circadian rhythm and they get the information for that from you. So if your sleep is trash, the microorganisms are also going to be having a frat party at 2 a.m. But I digress. Sleep is foundational because it affects every cell of your entire body. And then that has the ability to alter the dysbiosis and the motility, right? So hormones, easy example. Hormones sure as heck affect motility. Thyroid hormone being the most commonly talked about, but there are others, estrogen and progesterone. They also affect the leaky gut or lack thereof, like the gut integrity, testosterone does as well. So that's going to affect motility and probably dysbiosis. We definitely know that in the vaginal ecosystem at the very least. Nervous system. Heck yeah, that's going to affect motility and whether you are moving the contents of your gut through the tube at an appropriate pace, whether you have good motility or not, is going to directly affect the state of the dysbiosis and the state of the microorganisms in the small bowel. So it's a direct and an indirect relationship here. Immune system. Absolutely, sleep is going to impact the immune system, and your immune system is controlling the local inflammation in your gut, or again, lack thereof. And that, you guessed it, affects motility and the quality and the health of the critters in your gut. Metabolism. Definitely affected by sleep. Metabolism and dysbiosis, we're starting to see more and more research on this, but I'm going to focus mostly on the motility thing here, because there's a lot of really freaky deaky research coming out saying that blood sugar dysregulation in particular is very much going to influence motility to the point where type 2 diabetics have smaller vagus nerves than normal healthy controls. If that doesn't scream SIBO to you, I don't know what does. Moving on, microorganisms. Again, the microbial clock is a thing, and sleep affects the microbial clock. That's going to affect the dysbiosis thing and also the motility, because we know that the amount of, or the lack thereof, of good bacteria in your colon and probably your small bowel affects the nervous system regulation and the immune regulation within the gut itself, and that's going to impact motility. So this might be more of a here to here kind of an arrow. I'm not going to get too granular with this. Sleep, the structural integrity. I remember this pretty vividly, actually. When I was a college athlete, I was a rower in college, and my freshman year, I was just so excited to be in college that I stayed up way too late for basically 3/4 of my freshman year. And I know what you're thinking, and it was not because of drinking. I actually very rarely drank. It was like maybe once or twice a year. What it was, I discovered that my school had an anime club, and they met late at night, and I would stay up until all hours of the night hanging out with the anime club and the club that shared an office with them, and we would play board games and video games and watch anime together. And I would stay up until like midnight, and then I would get up at 4:55 a.m. to go row for practice. And I was horribly sleep deprived. And yes, I probably got worse grades in school that first semester than I could have. And I felt tired. I felt worn out. But one of the things I still remember, it was much, much harder to recover from injury or a hard workout. Like, we would do a workout and I would be able to perform in the workout miraculously, but then my recovery was stunted. I wasn't able to recover. I was sore for longer than I felt like I should be given my physical fitness level. And the structural integrity thing is definitely going to affect, at the bare minimum, your motility. And anybody with adhesions from endometriosis or scleroderma or any of the surgical scars, if that is a root cause for you or a hypothesized root cause, you know full well the structural integrity of the gut itself, let alone the rest of the body, is going to affect your motility and your ability to move things through your gut. So that's a pretty big deal. And then last but not least, your ability to detoxify is going to affect the dysbiosis, because remember, bile, which is one of the things that your liver and gallbladder are producing and squirting out into your gut, a lot of toxins hitch a ride out of your body in the bile and get dumped in bile to be excreted in stool. Well, bile is literally eaten by a lot of microorganisms. Don't you think that they're munching on some of the stuff that's in the bile too? Don't you think that keeping your detoxification enzymes working will at least work on the inflammatory load that your body is experiencing, let alone the dysbiosis and the motility? Big, big stuff. So detoxification is going to affect both too. And that's just one example, but this is something that is so unglamorous and unsexy, and it feels like, that's not specific enough for me. I joked on the podcast recently in an episode we recorded, every human being on planet Earth, myself included, has a little bit of I'm special syndrome. And I'm not knocking it. Like, we all do this, but there's that little teeny wrong voice in your brain that is saying, sleep is not going to be the thing that cures my SIBO. I'm I'm special. My case is special. My case is too bad, too extreme. There's no way that sleep is going to cure my SIBO. But here's the thing, you can start stacking these foundational things on top of each other. And I could have picked any number of other examples here and it would have worked out the same way. So, all right, we've got this bubble. We could say sleep. What about just getting enough nutrition? I'm just going to put newt here because I'm lazy. What about just making sure you're eating enough calories? Really low-hanging fruit, and you don't need expert advice. You don't need to pay me a dime to learn if you're eating enough calories. There are smartphone apps that you can download for free. You can log your food intake for a couple of days, and you can get a sense, at least roughly, of whether or not you're intaking enough calories for your metabolic need. But that's something, if you don't have protein and fat and carbs and vitamins and minerals to build hormones or build healthy nerves or neurotransmitters or build a healthy immune system, build the structural integrity of your body, none of this stuff's going to work. And then the heck with SIBO. You're way off and not even close to healing your SIBO if you're not intaking enough nutrition. And that doesn't even get into these crazy, scary, hard diets like low FODMAP and SCD and biphasic and all of these SIBO-specific diets. Just make sure you're eating enough. Like, just start with that, if nothing else. Even heck, we could go even to one of my favorite root causes that everybody rolls their eyes at, which is stress. I've said it once, I will say it 1 million more times on this channel. Stress can absolutely cause SIBO all by itself. I've seen this numerous times. It's not to say that this is always the cause. And it doesn't even have to be like life-altering, death of a family member level stress or like a physical assault level stress. But stress can cause all of this stuff to go wackadoo. Similarly though, treating the stress or trying to work on it in some way, whether your way of working on stress is to go to therapy or listen to some guided meditations or do silent meditation or go for a walk in the woods outside once a week or do acupuncture, pick up yoga. For me, hold on, I pick up painting. I realized in the beginning of 2020, my body gave me a very strong signal that I was stressed. I was losing a lot of hair in the beginning of 2020. And that was my wake-up call when I realized I've been shoving stress down and bottling it up for years and years and years. I've never really learned stress management in my life. And I kind of had this epiphany, I don't really have any hobbies anymore. And I had to think back, and I thought back to who was I in like high school, right? Like if you met me when I was like 15, 16, what would I have talked to you about? What was I so passionate and excited about that I would have just talked to you for 5 hours about one topic and you would have been like, oh my God, I get it, man. Like you're passionate about this. And I thought back, and for me, it was anime and just Japan in general, because I've always been deeply fascinated by Japan and Asia more broadly. And I loved art and animals and just being outside. And those were kind of my hobbies. Like I grew up on a farm and I had animals. I loved art in every way, shape, and form. I did ceramics, I did drawing, I did a little bit of painting, and I was taking art classes in school. And my grandfather had a ceramic studio and I would paint ceramics with him. And you know, in adult life, we just kind of lose that a lot of the times. We lose ourselves, we lose our hobbies. And for me, just getting a bunch of bottles of acrylic paint and a handful of canvases and glitter, also I put glitter on them, like that was really therapeutic for me. And between that and maybe a couple of other things I did, that slowed down the hair loss and corrected the symptoms that I was seeing that were secondary to stress. But again, like stress and sleep, they sound unglamorous and unspecific and unsexy, and I know that, but they affect every cell of your body, especially the nervous system. Both of them deeply, deeply affect the nervous system. So if you're not taking steps to just work on basic, bare bones nutrition, no fancy SIBO diets, no IBS diets, no elimination diets, no detoxification diets, no sugar detoxes, vegan, carnivore, none of that. Just forget about that and just go back to being a human and try to eat reasonably healthy most of the time, and just make sure you're getting enough protein, enough calories, enough fat, enough carbs. Start with the basics, start there. But these are the sort of things that should be forming the base of your SIBO protocol, your SIBO treatment plan, if you will. And that way you're covering all of these bases all at the same time. And then by all means, if you find that the dysbiosis or the motility needs a little bit more work directly, absolutely, by all means, start working on that. You could do the sleep hygiene and the stress mitigation, reduction, management technique stuff, and you could do the basic nutrition stuff, and also take an antimicrobial, or a probiotic, or a prebiotic, or a prokinetic, or an herbal tincture for your motility. Like, you could do these things in conjunction, but build the foundation of your SIBO protocol with these low-hanging fruits, these unglamorous, humdrum sounding things, the things that honestly Amy and I hammer the snot out of in the IBS Freedom podcast every single week. Go back to those basics, those foundations, lay the foundation, even if it's just for a couple of months, and then start to think about your snazzy supplements and your snazzy dietary tricks and your snazzy prokinetics and your snazzy herbs. I love those things, but they shouldn't form the foundation of your treatment plan. So that was a lot, but that's, I think, the best chance you have at beating SIBO. Again, particularly if you don't know your root cause, but I really hope that other people watch this video. I hope that there are people watching this now who know what their root cause is and they watch this video anyway, because I think that this is going to be the framework that a lot of you need to ultimately overcome SIBO. And I will say too, like, not to continuously beat my horn, toot my horn, that's what it is. Not to continuously be that person, but we talk about this a lot on the podcast. But it is hard to give individualized, customized advice in the capacity of a YouTube channel or YouTube comments or a podcast. But that's why I have FODMAP Freedom. That's why I coach people, and we have live Q&As, and we have a group, and we have FODMAP Freedom coaches, and we have people who can help you implement this information. I know it's a lot. I know that just the stress conversation is like 500 YouTube videos worth of stuff. And I know that the sleep conversation is another 100 YouTube videos worth of stuff that you could unpack. But this is what I lead people through in FODMAP Freedom every single year. We start with the foundations. I put things like stress and sleep and the vagus nerve and chewing your dang food and basic nutritional strategies. I put those in the beginning of the course so that we're laying the foundations first, and you master those things first before I let you even think about leaky gut and antimicrobials and candida and histamine and hormones. Like, you've got to build this ship from the ground up, from the base up. And that's what we do together in FODMAP Freedom. And we are enrolling again in the very near future. Actually, May 16th is the first day that we open up again. But that's only for the people on the wait list. So I'm going to put a link down below. If you want to join the wait list now, you'll be one of the first people to get an email, and I'll let you know when it's open again. And the relevant stud is you get a pretty cool bonus that I'll announce on Monday, but also it might fill up. Like, we came really, really close to capping the enrollment last time when we opened up again in February. And I think that might happen this time. But if you get in on that early enrollment week, the week of the 16th, you can lock in your spot before I open it publicly to this YouTube channel and my Instagram account and my general email list. So get on the wait list if you haven't done so already. There's no obligation. You don't have to join. You're just saying, hey, I want to be the first to know. And that way I can consider it and maybe join you when you open up. So get on the wait list. It's down below if you want more information. I would love to help you in FODMAP Freedom and meet you on these Q&As and help you implement all of this so that you can be SIBO free in 2022 and beyond, for that matter. Thank you for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.